You are now tuned in to Hot Topics with Donna. And on this show, we do one thing: keep it real hot. That's honest, open, and transparent. If you didn't know, now you know. So sit back and unwind as we bring the vibe and a little bit of glorious sunshine to your heart, soul, and mind. Your lovely host, Hot Donna, will be with you in just a few moments. But while you wait, go ahead and set an atmosphere of peace in your space. If you can, cut the lights down low, get your hydration on, vibration zone. Cause tonight, you're about to receive some delicious food for your soul. Are you ready? Are you ready? It's about to get hot. You are indeed in the one and only place to be this evening. We appreciate you for joining us, and in just a few moments, we about to turn the heat all the way That's right. It's about to go down right now on Hot Topics with Donna. Show your virtual love by smashing that thumbs up and heart icon as many times as you can. And without further ado, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing your host, the one and only Hot Donna.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. I am your host, Donna Taylor, and on Hot Topics with Donna, we do it honest, open, and transparent. We talk about faith, we talk about friendships, relationships. So I am so glad to be back with you tonight. Thank you guys for always tuning in with Hot Topics with Donna. I am your host, Donna Taylor. HOT stands for honest, open, and transparent. And on this show, we interview ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their community. And as you know, as always, I always have a word, not just for my guests, but even for my viewers. And so the word that I chose tonight is boldness. And you know, I always give you a scripture. So the scripture says, I remind you to fan into the flame the gift of God. For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And that's 2 Timothy 1:6-7. And a lot of times when we find ourselves in situations, whether it's at jobs, relationship, whatever the case may be, sometimes we have to tap into our boldness that God say and remind ourselves who God say we are in Him. And so we have to say, I am bold in this area. It may be scary. We might have some fears that we can't accomplish these things by being bold. We don't know what the ramification may be if we be bold in whatever situation we find ourselves in. But one thing we can be sure of, that if God is with us, we can be bold in whatever adversity that comes before us. And so I hope you guys just tune in. I'm excited about this interview. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my guest on so her and I can have some great dialogue. So just hold on for a minute while I get her on. Okay, I already have invited her. I'm just waiting for her to accept the invite and we will get started. I hope you guys have had an amazing day. Just know that, hey, God is so good. So I think, hold on, I'm waiting for her to get on. She's joining. Hi, beautiful.
How are you?
I'm good.
Beautiful
How are
family.
you? Thank you, thank you,
I am
thank
great,
you.
great, great, great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes, yes. You came highly recommended by our friend Terrence.
Yes, that
Yes,
is,
and
yes, yes,
so
yes.
I'm just thankful. And so I read some of your posts. I read some inserts from your book because I didn't know you had a book.
Mhm.
But as I was digging, I found that you wrote a book. And so doing that, I chose boldness for you.
Awesome. Okay.
I chose boldness, and I got the scripture from first 2 Timothy 1:6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also wanted to just say, Jeremiah 29:11 fits you too. And I was
Yeah.
just like,
I can see that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. I
and so,
can.
and it's just so amazing when you meet people and they can step out in boldness, because a lot of times the adversaries always try to keep us in fear and not step out on our boldness. And when we know who
Right.
we are and whose we are, then we can step out on boldness.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Exactly.
and so tell people who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. And then we're just going to have some great, honest, open, and transparent conversation.
Okay, well, hey everybody. So, I kind of open it like I open my show. I'm your healing coach and your host, Stephanie Renee.
Mm-hmm.
I am the host of Lipstick Dialogues, which is a podcast for women, an author, a woman of God, a mother. You know what I mean? I am
Yes.
all things to all people for what that is worth. I do have a bachelor's of science in
Mm-hmm.
psychology. I am a certified life coach, but I just use that for relationships from a healing perspective.
Right.
Um, I currently live in Duplin County, small but nice place in North Carolina. Originally from White Plains, New York, just the story. Moved from New York down south, and here we are. So I guess I'm the best of both worlds at this point. So
Amen. And I
that's who I
visited
am.
White Plains, never been in my life. My sons and I, we had started planning mother-son trip. And so we end up going to New York. And my son is
Mm-hmm.
in the ministry as well. And so one of his minister friends had a church in White Plains. So we took the train up to White Plains, and it was really it's beautiful up there. Beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah, I love it.
And so we was kind of like in a town. It was like in the town, how you have strip malls up and down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
Mm-hmm.
area that we were in.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I
And
love it.
and so I have so many questions for you.
I'm excited. Yay,
I,
I am
I
though.
was
I
at
am. I am.
work. And look at these. I have so
Oh
back
wow.
to,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
but let's talk about, before we divulge into, I want to do, you know, just go down, your list of things. So you have a podcast as well called Lipstick Dialogues for Women. And it's, you said helping women survive, overcome, and move forward from unhealthy, toxic, and broken relationships. So when did you
Mm-hmm.
start this?
So it actually started in November of 2014. Another friend and I, we were going to, at her apartment complex, we wanted to have a fellowship for women.
Right.
And I came up with the name Lipstick Dialogue. So that was actually in Winston-Salem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it kind of fell off for a little bit. And then I relocated in 2017. And that's when the Lord began to kind of tug at me a little bit more.
Right.
And because I knew he was pulling me in an area of relationships, and I
Mm-hmm.
kept saying, well, God, people are not going to want to listen to me because I haven't had the best track record as it relates to relationships.
Right.
But he
Right.
was like, but that's it. You have to understand your leg of the race.
Mm-hmm.
And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, Lipstick Dialogues was about helping women to heal. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't mastered anything else from those broken relationships,
Right.
you mastered healing. So then I got
Exactly.
to, and then of course I just used everything else. So I had it in theory and in practice, which is what makes it more relatable. It allows me to speak from a relatable perspective versus
Exactly.
a clinical
Mm-hmm.
perspective, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it puts me in a nice space. So
And
yeah, that's how it started.
and we as women, because I have the same desire and heart for women because I was a broken woman. So I don't speak
Yeah,
from something I don't know. I speak from the
right,
brokenness, the insecurities, the low self-esteem, not feeling that you're worthy. And when
right.
we come to realize, but it takes Christ to pour that back into us. we
Absolutely.
we can't do it. Donna couldn't do it. Stephanie couldn't do it. To really know who you are, we can try to walk through these
Mhm.
relationships, but without Christ, he is the one that can help us know who we really are and who he really is. And do you
Mhm.
find a lot of times that we as women in general try to fix ourselves, if you will, to become whole?
We do, because I think we kind of get caught because we're so busy trying to be everything for everybody, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we're trying to be a mom, we're trying to be a wife, whatever, because we wear so many different hats.
Right,
And I'll what I will say is I think sometimes it's not even that we try to fix ourselves. I'll be honest and say we neglect ourselves. So we
right,
really what we do is we put ourselves on the back burner
right.
and we lose ourselves in our children. Or we
Hmm.
lose ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
everything else. It's almost like you're switching it off. So you're hiding your truth, right? Or
Hmm.
you try to accommodate for what went wrong. You try to make it up in other areas. So in
Right.
essence, I would say we probably not even trying to fix it. We really just push it to the side or push it to the back, thinking it'll just go away or it'll resolve itself,
And it
right?
doesn't.
And
And
it,
it
no,
doesn't. And
no.
and do you feel that once we realize that after you push it to the side, at some
Hmm.
point the least little thing would trigger it and you would explode, and then now you have to face all of these things.
Yeah, it's like all you need are the right set of circumstances,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And depending on where it happens, it can seem like something so small
Hmm.
to everybody around you because they don't realize you've been carrying this, right?
Yes.
So you keep packing it and packing
Hmm.
it. And so that
Hmm.
when it comes out, it's going back, it has like a ripple effect through
Yes,
time. So
yes.
it'll go back to the things that happened when you were small
Hmm.
and then just
Hmm.
kind of everything will just start spewing out and people are looking at you like, well, what is wrong with her? you know
Exactly,
you
exactly.
know what I mean?
And
I just right. Yeah, it's weird.
so when you do your lipstick dialogue with women, are
Hmm.
women kind of hesitant to come open with the scars and the brokenness at first?
No, because if you reveal your truth,
Yes.
it makes it easier for people to reveal their truth, right?
Right.
So I always tell people if it looks like I'm laying down when you see it, like
Hmm.
visually,
Hmm.
it's that way on purpose because
Right.
I want it to feel like I'm talking to my best girlfriend, right?
Right.
So I might say something like, "Cause girl," and then I'll explain my situation, and immediately everybody who can identify, they'll be
Right.
like, "Girl, cause yeah, that happened to me too." Because it's a safe space, right?
Right.
Because I'm
Right.
not going to judge you, right? You got to
Mhm.
create a safe space, right?
Exactly.
That, yeah.
And that's
Hmm.
what, and and you said the magic word safe space, and that's what me and my girlfriends, the few that I have, that's what we are to each other. We're each other's safe place,
Right.
because if I come to you broken, and even if I come to
Hmm.
you and I made a mistake, I know that this is my
Hmm.
safe place, that you're not going to judge me and say, girl, why you do that? You should, but, and that's what we as women, I think, is missing. Do you think that's what we miss as women, even in our girlfriends relationships, that we miss that safe place, that we can feel safe, we can feel vulnerable without looking, feeling like, well, maybe I shouldn't divulge this because they're going to see me a different way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes we buy into the narrative, right? that creates this narrative out here that creates a crab in the barrel mindset,
Right.
right, for us as women, right?
Right.
And instead of embracing sisterhood and feeling
Mm-hmm.
like it's okay, you either feel like if I tell her, might not be able to trust her with my truth,
Right.
right? And
Right.
that it can throw the whole thing off.
Right. Right.
So that's like that's the downside of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're, instead of embracing our sisterhood, we're out here in competition with each other.
Yeah.
So that doesn't create the right environment for me to
Mm-hmm.
share my truth, right?
Right.
Because I'm trying to make sure you don't get one up on me, so I'm not going to let you know my weakness, right? But
Exactly.
then in the same
Exactly.
token, I don't really know if I could trust you. So it's just like a lot of craziness that we need to change that narrative and promote sisterhood. Like, we are
Yes.
not in competition. We're sisters,
No.
right?
And that's
Yeah.
what I tell people. You have a podcast, I have a podcast, and my podcast is for me. He tailored this
Mhm.
just for me. Yours is tailored just for
Right.
you. And only because we're
Right.
doing the same thing, we should never be in competition, say, well, I got to do this and I have to do that. We can empower each other. We can get tips from each other, how we can improve on what we're doing, instead of looking at, well, I ain't going to help her because if I help her, she might just get up here. But it doesn't matter, because if I'm staying in my lane, God is going to get me, or God is going to get
Mm-hmm.
you to where you need to be if you stay in your lane.
Absolutely. You made me think about the be not weary in well doing
Mm-hmm.
or in due season, right? So we all have a due season,
You
right?
see.
It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter, right? What's for me is for me. So I don't have to
Exactly.
try to get ahead of you. I don't have to try to bring you down. We don't have to
Exactly.
worry about any of those things. One of the things that I've been coaching women on is this phrase that says, mind the business that pays you, right? So
Right.
that'll keep me from focusing on who's ahead of me, who's to the left. You don't have that type of energy or that type of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you also resolve in your spirit, there's always somebody better.
Yes.
There's always somebody prettier. There's
Yes.
always somebody. So if you can go ahead and get that in your spirit, then you don't
Yes.
have to worry about it, right? But also in that, embracing the fact, because when you said like we both, right? But what you bring is unique to you, right? I
Right.
can't bring what you bring
Right.
because I am not you.
Right.
Like our fingerprints are individual. Nobody has our
Yes.
exact fingerprint,
Yes.
right? So that when I come to the space, or when you come to the space,
Hmm.
we can be doing the same exact thing,
Yes.
but I still bring me. You still bring you. And if
Absolutely.
other women could understand that, we don't have to compete, because I'm me, like you. It is
Exactly.
what it
And the thing about it is, if you really want to compete with me, that means you really want to walk in my shoes.
is. Mm-hmm.
And if you
Mm-hmm.
walk in my shoes, your shoes, you might second guess, trying to be jealous
Mm-hmm.
of, envious of
Mm-hmm.
somebody, because my shoes, when I put them on, may be fancy, but you don't
Right.
know the depth of the pain, the
Mm-hmm.
insecurities that walk in these
Mm-hmm.
fancy shoes that I have on.
Right. Exactly. Right. Right. We don't know what the price people had to pay.
Exactly.
Right. Right. So they say the anointing cost. We went through something for this, right?
Exactly.
You went through something for this, right?
Exactly.
And we were equipped for it, because if we
Yes.
weren't, God wouldn't have even put us in that position, right?
No.
So so two things happen, and I love that you said that. Like, two things happen. If I try to walk in your shoes,
Hmm.
right, that means I have to abandon mine,
Right.
right? So now that means I'm not even handling what I'm supposed to be handling, and my stuff is left.
Yes.
And then I'm trying to get in yours that doesn't even fit. Your armor, like with
Yes.
David, with Saul,
Hmm.
your armor is not equipped to fit me. It could be too small. It could be too big.
Exactly.
It's not for me, right? And I
Exactly.
can't effectively operate in it.
Exactly. And then as I was looking too, you wrote, this is something you wrote about yourself. You said, anointed for this is a phrase
Mhm.
which best describes me. Life may not always go the way we plan, but as long as I understand who I am and why I am here, the rest is easy. And you say, God placed me in the earth realm as a living testimony of all his wonders. The process has not always been easy, but the outcome is guaranteed victory. And that is so profound, because that's why I said Jeremiah 29:11, because he already know our purpose. And sometimes it takes us a longer time, if you will, for us to realize, wow, I do have purpose, because he saw something great in me before he even placed me in my mother's womb. So did I go through all this stuff to get where I'm at now? Yes, because it propelled me to learn what my purpose is, even through the heartaches, even through the breakups, so whatever. He propelled us to get to a place where we're at now.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
people want to check out, or should I ask you, why do you think people want to check out in the process? Because the process is like, it ain't always easy in the process.
No. Well, just from a human perspective, sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes it gets overwhelming, right?
Right.
So, God doesn't always tell you the end game, right?
Right.
Well, he don't tell you what's in the middle. Let me say it like that. He doesn't tell you what's going to happen in the middle. He just be like, let's get in the boat and go to the other side, right? But he don't tell you that all the storms and foolishness going to happen in the middle, right? But in our humanity, right? So that's the thing I take. Life happens to us all. It hurts.
Yeah, it does.
I'm disappointed, right? And I've been there where we get overwhelmed and you feel alone, right? Because you feel like nobody else is going through it and nobody understands, right? And so you just want to kind of throw in the towel, like, listen, get somebody else. I don't want to do this, right?
Yeah.
But that's when I always think about Job. Have you considered my servant?
Yes.
Job, right? So you put yourself in that space, right? Because if you're going to believe God, you have to believe him all the way.
All the way.
Yeah, that whatever God allows me to encounter, he's allowing it because there's already something inside of me that's equipped to go through, right?
Amen.
All I got to do is go through, right?
Yes.
Because the race is not given to the swift, which means you don't have to be fast, nor to the strong. You don't have to be strong, but to the one that endures, right? That's all that is required, is that you endure, right? And so if you could put it in your head like that, he's not expecting you to be the best or perfect, because he has that, right? He's just expecting you to endure, push.
Even when you don't want to. Even when you don't want to. And then you say your favorite quote is, take no days off. And when you say take no days off, that means you have to stay in the race, if you will. You have to stay in the game. Even when, just going back to that verse, even when you don't know how you're going to get through it, you still can't take the day off. You still have to fight, because if you get out the boat, if you will, you still going to have to come back and get back in it.
Yeah, right.
So you might, like you said, ride the storm out with the bumps and bruises, getting drowned, if you will.
Yes, all of that.
Yeah, and still do it. And so I wrote so many things down, and I like it when you said, ask the question, are you in? And I was like, yeah. Because for me, when you said, are you in? I said, I'm in it for the long haul. Come hell or high water, struggles or not, shortcomings or not, failures or not, I have to stay in.
Right. I mean, well, one, if we don't, how will we ever know the victory? Right? If we stop, if we jump, like, you'll never know. The only way to know if there's a victory, you got to stay in.
You got to stay in. You got to stay in.
Well, first of all, now some people got to get in. You got to get in. Can't keep standing over there on the corner. You got to get in. And when you get in, right, you got to stay in. Right? Things are going to get hard. You're not going to always be happy, even on your most anointed days. But you still got to stay in. Right? But that comes, it's easy to say that, though, when you build relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, my relationship is based on experience and history,
Right,
right?
right.
And because of that experience and history, I know that God is not going to fail me. So it is
Yes.
easy based on experience and history
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
stay in, because he
Yes,
came through for me before, he'll come
yes,
through for me again. Same thing with my parents. If you have a good parent,
yes.
I trust you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Based on history and
Yes,
experience. And
right.
it's the same thing, right? So I know it sounds easy when I say it, but I'm telling somebody else that this all will come down to relationship.
Relationship, not religion.
Mhm.
That's
No,
the difference.
no.
That's the difference. And then you said on Thursday, you said, I am a work in progress and I'm learning to be unapologetically me. And that's what I tell people too. You have to love who you are, flaws and all. And
Mm-hmm.
when we get to that place, then we can love who we are. You know, even if we
Mm-hmm.
have shortcomings still, even if I have
Mm-hmm.
flaws or whatever, because I tell everybody, I used to not like my nose. It's a nose that I inherited from my father, you know, side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
But once I gave myself to Christ, I said, who am I to say
Mm-hmm.
why I don't like this? Because this nose was designed for a purpose.
Mm-hmm. For you, right? I'm just sharing. If you see me looking down, that's all.
You see what I'm saying? And so I and that's how I came over that flaw that I felt
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't good enough, if you will. But and
Mm-hmm.
then once you have a relationship, then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I am an original.
Mm-hmm.
He designed me this way. He made me
Mm-hmm.
look this way. He made you look this way for his purpose, not for ours.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
when we can
I like.
accept those things, you know, would I like to be a little taller?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but again, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I? Because
Yeah.
he created us exactly how he wanted us to be for our purpose, to walk in it. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to learn to embrace that as well. And
Yeah.
before we
Mm-hmm.
get into your book, you had a quote one day ago,
Okay.
and you said, when you said, I have learned a lot by sitting back and watching. If you make one mistake, folks will forget all the good you have done
Mm-hmm.
and drag you
Mm-hmm.
for filth.
Fulfilled.
And when I read that, I said, Lord, they do. Because they think
Mm-hmm.
because we are saved, women of God, men of God, that we have
Mm-hmm.
arrived. And we're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to walk this straight and narrow, which we do try to walk the straight and narrow as much as we can. But we're not going to be perfect
Right.
until we get to the other side. But
Absolutely.
why is it that people look at us different when we fall?
Well, because one, they do have a different expectation, right, for us. At the moment you tell people that you are a believer, they almost feel as if you're perfect,
Mm-hmm,
which is
mm-hmm.
so far from
Right,
true, right?
right.
Um, they it's almost like they don't think we're human anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if they find out you're like in any type of leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it gets worse at that point, right?
Right, right.
Because, and I get it that we are held by a standard, so
Mm-hmm.
that comes with the territory,
Right,
right?
right.
We are held by a standard, but even in that standard, I wish that people would remember I'm still human
Yes.
and I'm still a work in progress,
Amen.
right? And
Yes.
in the humanity, we're subject to make a mistake. That quote was really about the whole situation that was going on with the young preacher this Sunday, this poor decision. That's really all that it came down, this bad judgment, nothing else.
Right.
And how people are so ready to cancel you out, right?
Mm-hmm,
And it's
mm-hmm.
heartbreaking when it is one of your own, right? As a believer,
Mm-hmm.
when I see another believer make a mistake or whatever, it's not for me to try to cancel them out
Right.
or to attack them, right? That's like friendly fire. Like I'm gonna use my weapon against them. That's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's my sister in
Yes,
Christ.
yes.
But if I feel like we don't afford people the grace to be human.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. And what if he
Like
did that?
God is God.
Yes. And what if he did
Yes,
that to us?
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, like I'm not God. Honey, I got
Right.
issues. I love God with my heart. But what this about? Man judges the outward appearance,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But God measures your heart, the content of
Exactly.
your heart, right?
Exactly.
Because this right here, my flesh, I'm subject to
Girl.
do anything.
Yes. And that's why we have to crucify it daily, not
Mm-hmm.
once a week, daily. We have to do
Daily.
it daily. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just love how when we as women that been through adversities or whatever, how when God come back, when people have pushed us aside and say, girl, you might well go sit down. You ain't gonna be nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing. You got too much baggage, too much
Yeah.
whatever. And God is sitting
Mm-hmm.
back and saying, well, she's my child. And I allow
Mm-hmm.
them to go through certain things to get them where they're at today. And some things we've done have been self-inflicted because of this, as you said, because of our flesh. But the other things that we have done, and God allow us to come out unscathed, however. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
unscathed, I'm saying with our lives, because we still
Right,
might
right,
have
right,
some
right.
scars or whatever. But when He let us
Yeah.
come out unscathed and we're still on this side, then you know,
Yeah.
oh, well, He still got work for me to do. So I need to get in
Yeah.
line and stop running
Mm-hmm.
so I can do
Mm-hmm.
what He wants me to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you published a book. And let me ask you this, and then we'll determine how we're going to go. Did you publish the book before you did the two documentaries, The Cycle and Dumpster Diving?
So I did, right, back in 2016, but then kind of pulled it back,
Mm-hmm.
right, and just kind
Mm-hmm.
of held it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was after the cycle, I republished it on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just it's the same book, it's just republished. So yeah, but initially I did in 2016. But then Dr. Graham's like, you got to get that book out. You got to get that book back out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So thanks to his coaching, I
Yes.
did it.
Yes.
I did it. So
And so your book is called Not Just October.
mhm.
And how did you come up with the title first?
Because October is Domestic Violence
Okay.
Awareness
Okay.
Month, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the premise was that listen, it's happening more than just in October, even
Right,
though
right,
that's when people focus on it. That was
right,
what my thought was. It's not just October, and
right.
it's all the other months too. Yeah.
And it's your story. Am I
Mm-hmm.
correct? Talking about
Yes.
domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was reading the excerpts of your book, I was like, wow. And when a person, woman or man, endure domestic violence and then bounce
Mm-hmm.
back, no matter how long it takes them to bounce back,
Mm-hmm.
then you really and truly know if I survive this, it was
Mm-hmm.
for God's purpose. And like you said, this was for you to help other women, other men.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I think we as humans, we only think women are the one that's being abused, and that's not so.
Not at all. Yeah.
And
Men
so
and women.
and so you said your abuse started when you were 21,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So in the
Yeah.
book, was it hard for you to write about the pain as you endured this domestic violence relationship?
No, it wasn't hard to write about the pain, but you have to be careful when your story involves other people,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And so you have to be able to tell your truth in a way that
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily damage the whole kingdom,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because there are people that I love that are connected to that story,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so the goal was not to damage them.
Right.
And the
Absolutely.
goal isn't even to damage the person who was the abuser. It was just to tell my truth,
Your truth.
right? It
Right.
is what it is. It happened.
Mhm.
So that was the hard part, because somebody that I absolutely adore is connected to my story. But I wanted to make sure that I guarded them in the process. So that was the hard part, was just making sure that I could tell this without hurting them. Right?
Absolutely.
That's all that I cared about. The rest was because I was healed, right? See,
Yes.
had I not been healed, it would have been triggers and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
But I wrote it at a time where I could tell it and not have flashbacks
Mhm.
and not be triggered, right?
Right.
Because this is the testimony, right?
Right.
This is the
Right.
pain that has led me to my purpose.
Mhm.
So yeah. So no, it didn't.
And then you
It didn't
said,
hurt. Yeah.
and you also said being in a domestic violence. You said being in a relationship of domestic violence, it changes your perception of love.
Mm-hmm.
And do you
Mm-hmm.
think that it causes us to stay because our perception of love somehow, some way, have been distorted by our upbringing and what we may have seen?
Well, in some cases, yes, but not in my case, right?
Mhm.
I'd never, that was foreign to me,
Right.
right? But because I had no points of reference,
Right.
what looked like love to me,
Mhm.
because I had other situations that happened that kind of tainted my outlook or the way I perceived myself.
Yes.
So that's what the glitch in the system was, right? Because I've never even heard my father raise his voice.
Right.
I've never
Right.
even, seen my, right. So those things were new to me, right? So in essence, I didn't know what love was from the beginning,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because I was sheltered. My parents were really strict. And then other things happened, childhood traumas and childhood things.
Right.
So I
Right.
was already in a weird space, you know what I mean? As it related to men. And
Mhm.
so when you have an event like molestation or an assault, sexual assault, you look for somebody else to put it back together, right? To make
Absolutely.
amends for something that was taken away.
Mhm.
And so that's how you can get caught in a storm.
Wow. And so, having no idea of what love is supposed to be, do you feel that, and I only can speak for women because I haven't had a man that's been in a domestic violence situation, do you think that we as women, because we want something, that individual, it clouds our vision because we want to see them in a different light?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we feel like if I love him enough,
Right.
he'll stop. If I
Right.
love him enough, if I'm extra sweet to him and extra whatever, this is going to change. This is going to change. Not realizing, first of all, you didn't even do anything to cause it. So
Right.
because you
Right.
didn't do anything to cause
Right.
it, technically you can't do anything to stop it, right? That's just
Right.
something they have to resolve within themselves, right? So it it's almost like what is a good thing is not good in that dynamic, right?
Right.
Because in normal dynamics, you can love somebody through something. But
Right.
when love is hurting you, now
Mhm.
it comes down to survival of the fittest. And so instead of loving ourselves, right, we try to pour that love off on them.
Yes.
I'm trying to be, especially if they tell you, if you didn't do such and such, then I wouldn't be like this. If
Right.
you did,
Right.
so now you're trying to, because they're manipulating you,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because nobody starts off swinging, right? So
No.
it started with something completely different,
Yes.
and they've been manipulating you the whole time.
Mhm.
So by the
Mhm.
time they start swinging, honey, you already out there, right? And
Absolutely.
sometimes you love them, right?
Mm.
And you're like, I can't believe they're doing this to me because I love them. I'm gonna
Yes.
keep on trying to love them. Yeah, and then after a while it turns to fear. Because at some point it is no longer love.
No. No. And so, do you think that? And I don't know if it happened in your situation, and if you want to answer, you can, because I really want to respect you and the other person. But do you think when you're in an abusive situation, if you bring up the idea about maybe we can go to counseling, maybe that can help fix us or fix you, if you will, because you also said in the book, when you have insecurities, or when a person, man or woman, have insecurities, if this is the only way they know to, if you will, give them power over someone, how does that look? Do you think they want to get that help, or do you feel they want to keep saying, I'm good, there's nothing wrong, you know, because you made me if you wouldn't have?
Well, it depends on the type of abuser you're dealing with, right? Because there are different types, right? So
Right.
you have one type that they genuinely feel like they love you, right? So when they do it, it's the panic of, I don't want you to leave. Now they might go with you to counsel, right? Because they, in their heart, they feel like they really love you, right?
Right.
But then you have the kind that they're just trying to get a reaction out of you, right? It is all about control.
Right.
They not going, right? Because they probably do that to everybody, right? It's just about control, right? And then you have the other type where there is no rhyme or reason. It is just what it is. It is malice. They could hate women. It could be anything. They could be a narcissist. It could be anything behind it, right?
Right.
And so, no, they're not going to go. You know what I mean? Like I said, probably the one that thinks they're in love with you, they might go, but then that's a whole set of insecurities that they built somewhere else as well, right? And then, but then that's where we have to remember, right? As women, right? We're not supposed to be martyrs, right? We're not supposed to be I can love you, but love you from my house, and you know, I love you,
Absolutely.
right? I'm afraid, but we come down to survival of the fittest. We got to stop. So somebody told me this. We got to stop helping other people live while we die. That's not going to work.
Girl,
right? That's not going to work.
Say that again, because
right?
you know,
We got to stop help. That's it. That's what we do. You got to stop helping other people live, and you die. So what happens? They live, and you.
Girl, and you know, and thank you, Lord. That right there is powerful in itself, because, and I can only speak for me, because when you do that, it chisel away a little bit of your self-being, and then you have to go back and be reminded by your father that you're beginning to make that person or that thing your God, and if I have to cut it off in order to save you, then I can do that. I would do that. And girl, and I'm telling you, it's that you're gonna have to just put that on your page so I can share, girl. Oh yeah,
and we do that all the time, right? Because,
and not just with intimate relationships, with friendships, with family members, we do it.
And we dying, we suffering,
and we're laying in bed crying, and nobody knows.
Nope, and they don't care. You checking on everybody else, and nobody's checking on you. You're present for everybody else, and they're not present for you. And because sometimes when you look strong, right? You present strong all the time, people forget that you have human moments. Like my feelings get hurt too. My heart gets broken.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, I lipstick dialogue, but that doesn't exempt me from getting my feelings hurt.
Exactly. And you know, and my late husband used to always tell people, oh, you know, my wife is strong. My wife is strong. And so I know I am, but it was like I had to live up to the standard because he's told so many people that I'm strong. And sometimes I get in my secret space and I am a ball of mess, because if you will, you can't allow yourself to be vulnerable in front of people, because
Oh,
people have said, oh, you're strong.
you're strong.
Stephanie is strong. And then Stephanie and Donna and a whole bunch of other women have to go in their secret place and shed these tears and say, Lord, why don't people just see us and know that, hey, we're not strong. We just tired of trying to put on this face, because people have expected that of us.
Yeah. And people can't always make the transition, right?
No.
So then it's like, well, who do I turn to? Because you can't cry to everybody. You can't. So it just kind of leaves you, okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You know what I mean? And so that's when we have to learn that it is okay to pull back.
Yes.
Right? Because we cannot keep doing that. Because first of all, at some point, you're not even going to be beneficial to the people around you.
No.
Right? Because once you are depleted, what are you giving? Right? You're depleted. So what are you giving? What is that? What's that saying? You can't pour from an empty pitcher.
You can't.
Right.
And then the sad part is the more you give, the more they require. But then they don't see when you don't have anything in you left to pour, but they want us women, even men, they want us to magically find some more strength,
right,
to continue to pour and feed you when you're starving me.
Exactly. Or they'll walk off after you have given everything.
Yes.
They'll just go to somebody else. So that's how you know not to continue to give out of yourself like that. Because if you don't have it, people will figure it out. So if they're going to figure it out, help them to figure it out. You know what I mean? What is it? What did I say this year? Oh, I said this year, 2022, I'm not giving people the benefit of the doubt beyond what they deserve. Whatever you show me, that's what it is. I'm not a martyr. I'm not dying so you can live. No, we're not doing that.
No.
I love you, but I'm not doing that.
and you know, and sometimes, you know, and I'm learning that because I'm a giver. I have a heart for people, and I have a heart for women. And my girlfriend, Lynetta, always tell me, she said, sometimes it's okay for you to be selfish.
Yeah.
And be okay with being selfish. She said, because Donna, you give from your heart, and you never look for anything in return. So when you, like we just said, are being drained and depleted, you have to be selfish. Because at the end of the day, if you're feeling low, then that's a problem. When you're feeling drained, when you're feeling unworthy, when you're feeling unloved, that's a problem.
It is, yes, a big problem.
And then that's when Satan can come in and send us these people that we think are so great and so wonderful, but then they start abusing us.
Yeah, that's true. And they look nice. It looks good.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to reword my questions because I don't want to disrespect you or other people.
It's fine. It's okay.
That during the time, because at one point you said you used to flee if guys had any kind of craziness going on.
I still do. You think I did that?
And I was like, but this was before you met the person.
No, well, here's the thing though. Before them, I had no real experience. Right. So even though, so I grew up really sheltered. I could take company when I was 17, but I couldn't go out, all that good stuff, right? I grew up in that era where you took company that came to your house. So I always had somebody to protect me. My dad was there. My mother was there, right? I might have got my little feelings hurt, but that was it. Right. So I didn't even know this depth of anything, right? Like until, I got here. Now in your mind, you would think, normally I would just walk away, right? But it gets a little murky. The water gets a little murky when you feel like you're in love. Now, when you're 20, 21, you really don't know what love is, right? And because, and by all accounts, he was good. You know what we deem good, right?
Absolutely.
You know,
yes,
girl, you know that.
Yes.
Yeah, you know that. Like, they come from a great family. So there's nothing I could say, right?
Right,
See
absolutely.
it. But it's the other stuff though that people don't know about. You know what I mean? That you have to deal with and contend with, right? But you got to think at 21, we thinking about the trophy aspect of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? That everybody's like, girl, that's who you talk to. Girl, that's who you talk to. So even though he's doing stuff that I knew was not right. Right. But because it was like, but it's like somebody gave me a Rolls Royce. I ain't about to throw the Rolls Royce away. You know what I mean? Because that's what you do when you're 20, 21. You're in college.
Exactly.
You know, and then I come from a really sheltered space where I didn't even, like, I can't even recall anybody ever telling me I was beautiful. Those things that you need, like, I make sure I tell my kid that, my daughter, because I didn't want her to have to look for that outside.
Exactly.
And I had older parents; they were amazing, no harm, no foul, right? And so here I am with this person, right? Like, oh, they chose me. So now it's a trophy. I'm feeling a little good about myself, but you know, even though I'm still saying that part doesn't feel right. Like, I know that, but you know, but my 21-year-old mind, we're not saying when we 21.
Girl, we not. Because, you know, I married, my first marriage, I married young. And, you know, like I said, and him and I are friends to this day. Because at one point I didn't like him. I hated him because of all the baggage. And I never forget, we was living in Kansas City, and I turned 25 because I met him in Germany when I was 18, and he was just you know, like you said, that Rolls Royce. And so I remember turning 25, and we never went out together when we was there. And my common sense finally clicked in, and I said, wow, are we going to go out, you know, tonight, you know, dancing my birthday? He's like, yeah, we are. I was like, good. So I'm thinking we're going to grown people club, right? We haven't going to a teeny bopper club. Like, you know, like 18, 19, 20, you know, 21, 22, whatever. And so when we got there, that's when I think that it clicked with me. And I said, you are taking me here because you don't want others, if you will, to know that you're married. Because if you take me to the grown people club where you've been, there's going to be people going to be like, oh,
right.
Who you? You see what I'm saying? And so, and God give us those hindsight 2020 when we come back to our senses and we grow, and you're like, dang, all this stuff, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
And so after all this you went through, the very first time that you was faced with the domestic violence abuse, was it kind of, and when I say simple, I don't mean to dismiss it, but I'm saying, was it kind of like nothing blatant, like outright, if you will? Does it make sense?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was innocent, right?
Right.
So it kind of feels like testing the water, right?
Right.
Let me do this and see what happens, right? So we're leaving the little house party of these apartments right off the yard. And to this day, I still can't even remember what we were arguing about. I just knew I was like, I want to go home. Take me home. You know that moment? Take me home.
Right.
And I'm walking towards their car, and I hear them in the back saying, don't walk away from me. But I'm not thinking about it. There's no reason for me. Right. And I'm not even saying anything to them. I'm still walking towards the car. literally, I see this beer bottle. It was the Old English 32 ounce. So it was,
Yes.
yeah. And it came flying by, like literally. So if it's here, that's where they threw it, right?
Right.
So it comes, and I could see it spinning, and it hits the ground. It still had beer in it and everything. And I literally turned around because I had to look. Like, I know. But when I turned around, that's when he was like, "Oh my God, no, no, I'm so sorry." So it kind of threw it off, right? In my right mind, I was like, "Oh, he tripping," right? But because he came in immediately with the, "Oh my
Yes.
God, oh, you know, I'm so sorry." Because had he continued through, I probably would have left, right?
Right.
But because he threw it off with the, like, "Oh my God, I don't know what's wrong with me." So I kind of attributed to maybe he was drinking too much.
Right. That's what I was going to say. You know, that's probably, that was probably their way of saying, oh, blame it on the alcohol because I need her, I want her. But if I just show this other side and really show the other side, she's not going to stay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
I
to
think,
him,
and
you
what's so,
probably was his trophy. To him, you were his trophy.
I don't know. I don't know. And what's so sad is that I knew him before, or I had seen him before with other girls. And I remember telling somebody, I don't like the way he treat them. Like, I saw it. Like, why does he treat them like that? Why? But I never thought I would be in a situation with him. So clearly I identified, but I had never seen him like hit them, right? Or yell at them. It was just the way he was handling them. I knew something was wrong, right? But I didn't have enough to be able to say, oh, that's what it is, right? And so that even when I got into the situation with him, remember, he didn't start off like that, right? So when I got into the situation, he was like the best thing since Wonder Bread. Like, I want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, woo. So I was thinking, well, maybe I was wrong until I wasn't. Right. Oh.
And so when you found yourself faced with this, now that you're in it, did you at any point, because you stayed 3 years, right? Because did at any point in between the first year, did you say, oh, am I going to get out of this?
All the time.
The first year.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. And I went to friends. I talked to friends who told me that I needed to get out, that I needed to leave. But he was so overwhelming that that immediately it was more I was afraid of him than I was in love with him. Right. It just looked like I was in love with him. But there was more. Well, I was afraid of two things, right? One, I was afraid he was gonna hurt me. And two, which is so weird, I was afraid he was gonna leave me, right? Because he's the trophy, right? Like everybody, right? So I'm still trying to be whatever I think it is he want me to be, so that he'll be happy, so that he won't leave and he'll stop acting like this, right? Because he didn't start for like the first year. He might throw something or he didn't actually put his hands on me, right? So that's why I kind of still, but I could still see, you know what I mean? Something wasn't right. But because everybody kept making it like he was this trophy, and I felt that way too. I'm not gonna lie. Because remember, I had experiences coming in that I was already broken. I was already broken, right? From other things that were beyond my control, right? And so I came in broken. So that's why it resonated so much, because I already could not see my worth. That's why when you said maybe he saw you as the trophy, but I was like, I couldn't identify that because I already came broken, right? And so here it is, like, no, this dude, it's him. So I'm just like, please don't leave me. Okay, I'll do this. Because I could remember like being at a party and somebody spoke to me and he loses it. And we go home and I call my mom at 3:00 in the morning, pleading with my mom, please tell him I'm a good person. Please, mommy, please. Because I was so caught up in trying to be good for him. That I didn't even realize I was already good. right? I didn't realize that,
Because like
right?
you just
And
said,
so,
when you're broken,
mhm.
you don't see the goodness in you, and it's
Mhm.
so profound. Why your mom? Why not your friends? Is it because your mom was the one that birthed you and she knew you, the ins and outs of
Well,
you, because she was you her daughter?
so that's weird because no, she was my, so I actually was adopted
Okay.
by my father's parents, right?
Right.
So at that time, I didn't really have a dynamic with my biological mother. So those are the things that contributed to the brokenness,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I already, right, and the mother who raised me, hands down, she was everything, right?
Right.
But because the dynamic that I had with her,
Mm-hmm.
I knew like, it didn't matter what I did, she would ride for me. Like, I
Right. Right.
knew that about her, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
don't make friends well. So I didn't have a lot of friends either,
Absolutely. Yes.
right? So I called in the panic the person I knew who would, one, answer the phone.
Right.
She's not going to judge me. And in her sweet self, right? She really did it. Like, she
Wow.
talked to him, listen, baby, I don't know what's going. She did it, but she was doing it to appease me because
Wow.
she didn't know the other stuff was going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? So all
Mm-hmm.
she knew was that my daughter has called me, this is my baby, and my baby is in a panic. Let me
Right.
ride for her. That's the kind of mom she was, and I knew she gonna ride for me,
Right.
right?
And so
And
in
she
that
did.
moment, was he able to calm himself?
Yeah, because it was all manipulation, right?
Wow.
But I didn't know that then.
You know,
But
yeah.
now looking back, it
Mm-hmm.
was all a game. He wasn't even really that mad, right? That was a way to control me.
Right,
Because now
right,
the next time we go out and somebody speak to her, she not gonna speak back, right?
right,
So
right.
he did all that kicking up the dust and da 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 da. That was all manipulation. Probably didn't even care.
And so when that happened again, when somebody spoke to you, you fell into that, didn't you?
Yeah, I ain't say a word. I didn't say a word. People that I knew don't, and they knew at some point, don't even speak to her.
Wow.
Hmm. Don't even say anything. Just walk by. And I've had people who would walk by like it, and then they might try to do something that he couldn't see. That's how bad it was. It was family, friends. It was everybody.
So
It was everybody.
did he isolate you at some point?
Yeah, that was a part of the isolation. I couldn't go to class by myself. When I got out of my class, I had to go to his class. Honey, I could have had a degree in art or whatever their degree was. I could have had a degree in they whatever.
So he would go with you to your class
Yeah,
and sit in your class.
yep. Like they was a student. And I would be in their class like I was a student. And if for whatever reason we had a class at the same time, whoever got out first, you better be making your way over to that other person's class. And or because he kicked up so much, he did a lot of kicking and screaming and kicking.
Yes.
And I just didn't, like, oh my God, let me make sure he doesn't get mad at me. So that's really what that was.
And so as all this is taking place, and you said you was in a dark place, in your dark place, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind?
Some days it was, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had those moments where I don't want to be with you anymore. Like, I did it. Then he would turn into the, oh my God, please don't leave me. Oh my God, da, 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 da. So it was like, okay, maybe I'll stay, right?
Right.
And then it was other times where it was just, I was scared,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because over time, it got worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once it started progressing to things that were a threat to my life or a threat to the life of someone I love them, then I'm just afraid at that point. At that point, it's just survival.
Wow.
That's all that it is. It wasn't it wasn't the love for them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was the love for everybody I had introduced them to. Because now I gotta stay to make sure that they don't do anything to hurt them.
Hmm. And
it happens. It happens all the time.
it does. And so when you're in this place of being
Mhm.
manipulated, abused, how does your instinct start to kick in so you can start thinking, if I stay, I might die. If I leave, I might die. So at what point did you start thinking of a plan, if you will, to save you?
Well, it's weird because I felt like I was at this break of a nervous breakdown. I had transferred to another school at the time, and I remember going to class one day and deciding not to go to class, and I went to their wellness center,
Mm-hmm.
and luckily they had like a therapist there, or a counselor rather.
Right.
And I went into that counselor and began to just pour my heart out. And literally, this man turned around and was like, "Run!" Around and was like, "Run!" He says, "If you stay, he was like, he's going to kill you, literally." So, I kind of stay. And then we had that moment where, I can't stay here anymore. We had like this big, well, I got tired. It was weird. I got tired. I'm swinging
Right.
back now. Now
Right.
I'm tired. I'm swinging back. There's too much other stuff involved.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
even thinking about myself. I'm thinking about the other people at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did leave, right? But they followed me. And so at that point, I could no longer handle them by myself.
Right.
Was when I had to pick the phone up and call my father and
Wow.
tell my father, this is the situation. So what it was is that we'd had that blowout. I left. I went over to a family member's house. Next morning, I get up. My car is gone. They're like, "Did you drive here?" "Yeah, but my car is gone." And I'm so glad to this day that it dropped in my spirit to call my dad. And so when I
Right.
called, he came. He came.
Mm-hmm.
And my father searched all day long. And later on that evening, my father comes back. Then I got to call the sheriff, everybody. And my father takes me to this, it was like where the construction of the road had ended. There were no houses, nothing. It was
Mm-hmm.
like in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
My car was in the woods. And the other person's car was on the inside. It means they had waited there for me all day. Now we know it's not going to be a picnic.
No.
My father tells me to get out, to go to my car. Once I step out, I see them get out their car. They go pop the trunk. And because he had already pulled a weapon on me before, right, I already knew that's what I was thinking. He's about to shoot me in front of my parent, whatever, whatever. And I never turned around. I was still standing there. And I hear my father say, "If you touch her, I'm going to put a bullet right between your eyes."
Wow.
Literally was the sentence that saved my life, because that person looked up at my father. Now, to this day, I can't even tell you if my father had a weapon because I never turned around.
Right.
And my father said, "Now you go get in your car." And now I ain't been back since. Literally. And my father came, made sure my father moved me out that, like, it happened. Like after that, everything just was happening.
Hey, Deidre, she said, wow, she said, when we look back at what and think about what God delivered us from, we have to praise him.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah, yes.
and so once you got out of this relationship, how
Mhm.
did you, Stephanie, start working on you?
It took time, right? I was still young, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so I'll be honest. So at first I was afraid of men. So I'm not talking to nobody, right? And then it went from being afraid of men to ending up in just more, broke, not anybody else abusive,
Right.
just more unhealthy dynamics,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Literally, I felt like I was on a roller coaster for like 10 years.
Wow.
Until one day, literally one day, I really was like, "God, I've had enough."
Mm.
I was like, "I can't do this anymore." I was like, "God, I'm tired. I'm tired of my heart being broken." I really was as honest as you could ever be with God.
Right, right.
And I just was like, "I can't do this." I literally was that honest. I don't know why I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't help me, I'm going to keep ending up in these rack. Literally is how I was talking.
Right.
You got to help me. and God began to speak to me and things that seemed so simple.
Mm.
And once I started believing and doing the things that God was telling me to do, then I started getting stronger and stronger, right? The power of no
Yes.
was where I learned, right?
Right.
That no is a complete sentence, right?
Right.
I don't owe any explanation beyond no.
Right.
And because I was afraid of being abandoned,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So that's why I would tolerate people's stuff, right? Abandonment and rejection. And
Mhm.
so God told me that if you say no and they walk off, they weren't meant for you anyway. So
Amen.
once I got past a couple of them no's and was like, but I still live. Okay, girl, you could do this again, right? And it started feeling good. Like I don't have to be at your will. Listen, I could say no and be okay. You could yell, you could scream, but as long as I knew I was gonna be okay, and it cost me. Yeah, I had to be homeless. It cost me. I'm not gonna say it was a fun ride, but all of those things built my muscle. Like, okay, at this point, honey, no.
Right.
I don't want to, right? And being okay with it, right? And even when I have moments that, because you still get hurt, life still happens.
Yes.
That I can maneuver better, right? It hurts, but it doesn't consume me.
Absolutely.
It hurts, right? But it is no longer a total indictment against who I am. Like I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. You know what I mean? All of that. Because what the enemy will do, the enemy will hold you hostage, right?
He will.
To the guilt and the shame of the events, right? And I learned this thing called agree quickly, right?
Yes.
So if the enemy says, well, no, but because you had a baby out of wedlock, I'm just using that. You had a baby out of wedlock.
Right.
You know what? You're right. I did.
Right.
But God, right? Anything after that is neither here nor there. You know, you used to be in an abusive relationship. You was in a toxic. You know what?
Yes.
I was. But God. So at that point, it takes the sting out of it. You're right. I was.
Yeah.
That's it. What is it now?
Exactly. And that's what, Denitra and I was talking about last night, and I talk about it all the time. When we take our mask off, you can't keep holding that to me like, okay, well, you keep on telling me that I did this and I did that, but that person don't live there no more. So that residence, is vacant now. So what are you talking about? But that's where we, as women especially, have to get to the place where we done had some hiccups. We done been in some relationships. We done did some stuff we shouldn't have done, but we don't have to stay there, and we don't have to allow people to keep us there.
Oh, no. No, and if I could offer that to anybody, right? Stop allowing people to hold you hostage, right?
Yes.
To your oops moments. Life happens to us all, right?
Absolutely.
And God, right? So our oops moments do not negate the promises of God over our life, right?
No.
He already knew that I was going to do that when I did that, right? But if the Bible says that we know that all things work together. That's the good, the bad, the ugly, for the good, right? To them that love God and are called according to his purpose, right? All things is all things, not just the good stuff.
Yes.
Right? All things, right? So, yes, I did it. Agree quick. I did it.
And so when once you out of this relationship, was it easy, or should I say, did you find yourself drawn to unhealthy relationships even the more?
Well, as long as they weren't, so to this day, I don't like really aggressive men. You can be mad, but be mad over there. Right. All of that swinging and coming. Yeah, that's a no-go for me.
Right.
But I still was drawn to charmers. Right. Where they words drip like honey. Because there were still some places in me that were broken, not because of that relationship, though, right? Those other glitches still existed, right? whatever was there before I got to him still was there when I left him.
Yes.
Right. And so I had to, because a lot of times, that's what all of us, a lot of the reason why we function the way we do in our love dynamics is based on what happened in our primary dynamics, right? We come with a glitch in the system, right? Who is the first, you know what I mean? It could be mommy issues, daddy issues, or childhood trauma. All of those could cause a glitch in the system of how you deal with your eros or your romantic relationships. So so that relationship was just a symptom of the other original glitch or the other primary, right? So once I began to understand that, I had to do the work to go get the glitch in the system.
Amen.
Because if not, I'd still be in raggedy relationships right now.
And so as we get ready to wrap it up, I looked up, it says L. Walker, he talked about the 3 cycles of the violence. And it was interesting because I've never heard of it. And so I looked it up. And the accumulation phase, where they were saying how, like you said, an argument, start screaming, can be months of this, years of this, before it goes to the aggression phase. So did you go through each phase in your abuse?
Yeah, that's why I said everybody, they don't start off swinging.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So, but the thing that I want to ask you, when Stephanie knew who she was and knew her worth, are you at a point now, because you own your truth, this is your truth. What do you tell women when you do your lipstick dialogue that have been abused or may be still in an abusive relationship? How do you coach them without having, sometimes how we can be like, girl, but how do you help them without inflicting what you went through on them?
It's easy. I have a universal message that love does not leave bruises.
Right.
And that if I could help you to understand what love is, right, and what a bruise is, I don't have to tell you much after that, right? And that if any, because a bruise is a sign that an injury occurred. A bruise is a sign that some type of trauma has occurred, right? Love does not injure. Love does not bruise. Love is long suffering, it's forbearing, it's patient, it's kind, right? It bears none of that, right? And so that if you are in those things, right? So that here's the key, is to educate without exposing them, right? All I got to do is to give you the information and the resources. Love does not leave bruises, right? You can have that, and never even, you don't have to tell me about your situation. Like spirits attract. I could see you across the room. Right? I could tell by the way you carry yourself. Right? And when I say like spirits, doesn't mean I'm still in it. I just know what it looks like.
Yes. Because, it doesn't matter if you've been abused or whatever the case may be. If you're in tune with people, you'll know when something is off. Because either they're going to be kind of withdrawn, or they're going to overcompensate with something to try to cover up something. And so every week, so do you do this podcast every week?
So since we came back into the new year, I haven't been streaming any new content, but over there on TikTok, which seems to be my bigger platform, I make video all the time. So every video that's on there is me in 3 minutes or less talking about something relationship-ish. And I just made that word up right now, right? And so it's allowed me to it's allowed me to hit the punchline and go forward, right? And just say what I got to, I try to drop at least a nugget, a nice little, so that's the platform where you'll find me. You can find on Spotify. I do still have some podcast episodes from 2021. I just haven't made any yet for 2022. I just got to get my life back together.
And so where do you
That's what
see
it is.
yourself in the next year? What
Oh,
what are some things you're working on?
so definitely still promoting The Cycle. If you haven't
Yes,
seen it, The
girl, it was
Cycle,
good. It was good.
uh,
And
and
dumpster
Dumpster
diver.
Diving.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
And,
I
oh,
when I watched
wait.
both of them, I was in awe. All the stories on there were so amazing. And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
guys, if you haven't seen them, you need to see it. I will put the flyers up on my page so you can see them, because these are people's truth. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about it for me, it was good. And when I say good, not like their story was just, it was good to
Mm-hmm.
see that it wasn't only women.
That's it. Oh yeah, right?
It,
Yeah.
it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't only women sharing their truth.
Mm-hmm.
It was men,
Mm-hmm.
professional men,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sharing their
Yes, that's what I
truth
love about
so men can say, wow.
it. Mm-hmm.
Because now, if women are in relationships with abusers,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe, just maybe,
Mm-hmm.
it can help our men, all men, tell their
Oh yeah.
truth and say, wow, maybe this is
Mm-hmm.
how I missed the mark.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I
Right?
still
Mm-hmm.
have a chance to get it
Mm-hmm.
together. And that's the beauty of it for me, because I said, wow,
Mm-hmm.
these are African American men.
Yeah. That's what makes it good though. Mm-hmm.
These are African
Yeah.
American men, professional men, students in college, telling their truth. And do
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah.
how much care? Because women, sometimes some women may not be, can tell their truth as powerful as others, because because of what they feel people might say. But when you
Right, right,
have
right.
people that can tell their truth and be
Mm-hmm.
bold about telling their truth,
Mm-hmm.
because for one, no one is holding you hostage and saying, well, you shouldn't tell your truth, or you're not still in bondage to people because you want to tell the
Right.
truth. When you're telling your
Mm-hmm.
truth, you're releasing and helping releasing other people from their
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
we become better women, we become better
Mm-hmm.
men, because of
Mm-hmm.
stories like yours. Because you're telling your truth, not trying to discard, disrespect anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of
Mm-hmm.
the matter is, this happened, it's real.
Absolutely.
If you don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's real, hey, I don't know what to tell you. But
Mm-hmm.
one day you could find yourself in the same
Yeah.
place.
Mm-hmm.
The abuse just may
Absolutely.
look different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You're right. Absolutely, you're right. And that's just what it is. It's about helping people. So I got a couple more books I need to get out.
Well,
I'm working on. Yeah.
Well, I will order your book, because, like I said, I didn't know until today that you had wrote a book, because I try to support my sisters and brothers doing amazing things, because it's amazing when our children, and I'm not dismissing anybody else's children, I can only talk about our children, to
Mm-hmm.
say there are still strong African American men and women, even though they went through
Mm-hmm.
some traumas, some shortcomings,
Mm-hmm.
I still have a chance to be successful.
Absolutely. That's it. Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I have to make the decision to
Mm-hmm.
want to be successful.
Absolutely.
Because we
Absolutely. I
can't
agree.
keep blaming mamas, daddies, whatever, all the stuff we may have encountered growing up or whatever. Did that stuff happen to us? Absolutely. Did it damage you? Absolutely. But you can do
Mm-hmm.
one or two things. You can choose to die here in that place,
Oh, I like that. Mm-hmm.
or you
There you
can
go, girl.
choose to live from a place where God say, I got you. We are fearfully
Yeah.
and wonderfully made. And I
love
know
that.
who you were before you were born. So you can't abort your purpose.
Oh, that's it. I like that. Yeah,
You,
right. I
and
love
so
it. I
that's
love
when
it.
we, you, me, and anybody else that will watch this, when we can own up to our own stuff, self-inflicted or not, then that's when people get delivered. Then that's when people can start saying, you know what? Today is the day I'm gonna make the decision not to keep blaming my mom, not
That's
not
it.
to keep blaming, well, you know, I didn't have the best life. But today is the day that I'm gonna take responsibility for whatever part I play. And the part that I didn't play, I am still gonna make it my business to be the best that I can be.
That's it. That's all that matters. That's all we can do, right? Is to be the best version of you.
The best version of you. And you said so clearly, every day that I wake up, I ask God to help me be better than I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I love when I see beautiful women such as yourself. And even in the movie, in the documentary, I was crying, you know, because some of y'all in there had me like, I was just like crying. But you know what? It helped me heal even the more. It helped me to keep reminding myself, you're worthy, you're beautiful. Even if no one ever tells you that, you are. Because I am a child of God. And so if he say that I'm all this, who are we to allow people to tell us something different? So that's your opinion, and you're right to you don't think I have it all together. That's your opinion. If you don't think I'm sexy and a diva or whatever or handsome, whatever, hey, that's your opinion because I can't change your opinion. All I can do is worry about how I am going to continue to love me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
And even, you know, oh, thank you, Lord. And it's so funny. I just had a thought. Could you say that when we're in relationships with friends, could that always also be a domestic violence type of relationship as well?
Yeah. You know, I mean,
Without the
normally,
physical piece, but couldn't it also be a part of domestic violence when you allow people to belittle you, to make you feel a certain way?
right. So yeah, you could enter into like a form of mental, emotional,
Right.
and verbal abuse.
Yes.
Yeah. So you could, you know, you can have narcissistic friends or narcissistic parents.
Yes.
So yeah, it's possible
And that,
to end in
and that's
some
just how
type
he
of
gave it
abusive
to me.
dynamic.
Yeah, he gave it to me like that. It's
Yeah.
almost like a domestic violence in another form.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I see
you're
what you.
in an intimate relationship with your friends, you're in an intimate relationship with your family, but yet and still they do almost the same thing as
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
partner would, you know, would do. But
Yeah. They do.
we have to get out of that mentality of allowing people to use us however they want to.
That's true, because a lot of times we give our family and our friends a pass,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
When in
yeah.
essence, they're doing the same thing,
Same
right?
thing.
But sometimes it could get a little thrown off because you feel like you're obligated to allow them to do it because
Right.
that's your family. No,
Mm-hmm.
no
Mm-hmm.
works for everybody, right? And it still comes down
Exactly.
to the same thing. Survival of the fittest is survival of the fittest.
Yes.
Whoever is love does not leave bruises is across the board, right? Whoever
Yes.
is mishandling you or hurting
Yes.
you with their words, with whatever,
Mm-hmm.
no, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to. And even if it's a family member, that's when we learn how to love people from a distance,
Amen.
right?
And we have to
You gonna
set
stay over
boundaries.
there, right? And I'm gonna stay over here. We don't have to fellowship,
And I
and we're
still
gonna be
love
all
you.
right.
And I still
There
love
you
you.
go. Right.
I
We're
still
gonna be
love
all
you.
right.
So have you ever thought about doing like a because before COVID came, I was going to do a Hot Topics with Donna Girl Talk, because I just wanted, like you, to get a whole bunch of women together and just come. We fellowship. If you have a business, bring your business cards and just have great dialogue, because that's what I feel God is calling at this time, because he want the women to rise up. Because a lot of us as women, we are allowing friends and families to make us abort our gifts and callings, because we don't want people to say, well, if she's doing this, well, who she thinks she is. And I think that's where the jealousy comes, the envious come, because we'll allow people to abort, because we don't, those friends that we have that don't have a goal and you have goals, it doesn't mean that you don't love them. It just means, hey, I got this burning desire and I got to get it out. So if that means I have to cut you off, I have to do that by any means necessary. Right. And I think a lot of times we, as African American women and women in general, we allow things and people to make us abort our purpose.
Yeah, because that thing though, that nurturing, remember we talked about that at the beginning, where we are so focused on helping everybody else and being present for everyone else, that we are no longer present for ourselves, right? And the things that we are called, because each one of us, if you are living and breathing, each one of us has a purpose. Each one of us has an assignment, right? And sometimes we get so busy helping other people with their purpose and their assignment that we forget about ours, or we allow people to talk us out of ours. No, ma'am, we're not doing that. No. And so that's kind of part of where I've been at the beginning of the year, is that if I could teach women out of all of your relationships, right, in the earth realm, one of the most important relationships to master, and which is also the most neglected, is the relationship between you and you. Between you and yourself, right?
Yes.
And if you could build that relationship and master that, all of your other dynamics, right, will be better, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you love yourself, you don't just entertain any and everybody.
No.
When you love yourself, you are particular about who you grant access to. I tell people all the time, I could tell how you feel about yourself by the choices you make.
Yes.
By the people you entertain, right? And who are you with, who you're with. So that's been my goal for the beginning of the year. Is just, if you've been seeing me make videos about wellness, so I'm building my own relationship that is all a part of that relationship, right? And so I think that's important. That's absolutely necessary.
And I know
because we haven't been empowered to do so.
We haven't. And my girlfriend, she has to say it this year too. She said, last year, she said I had scissors, so I can cut people off. She said, but 2022, she said I have shears now, and she said if they can cut thorns off of a rose, she said I'm not gonna have any trouble cutting anybody off by any means necessary, family, friends, ever. And I was like, girl, you crazy. She's like, no, because we're at a place in our life, like, if you're not pouring into me, and if you're not feeding me and help feeding my spirit, my purpose, then I can't allow you to drain me.
That's true.
I can't allow you to drain me. And so my thing, I want people to pour into me, and I want to be able to pour back into my friends, my sisters. I want to pour back into them, whatever they're doing. If it is what God has called them to do, I want to be that friend, that sister that pours back into them. I don't want to be that person that's always draining, like we said earlier. And then I'm so drained that, hey, who I'm going to get to fill me back up?
Right. Now I don't want to talk to nobody because I'm tired. We get tired, right? We're human.
Yes.
We get tired.
And I always tell people, I'll be gone before you even know I'm gone. I'll be done checked out before you even know I done checked out. Because you'll still be thinking everything is good. We still good. But I would be I would be gone and still speak to you and still be talking to you. But I'm gone. I'm gone. Because at this point, I am 54. And where God is trying to take me, I don't have time to be waiting. I can't waste my energy on things that's not going to feed me. spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. I can't, because when I feel like I'm being drained, then I start feeling bad about who I am. And then I have to call reinforcement to remind me of who I am. You see what I'm saying? I have to, I mean, and that's some real talk. I have to call reinforcement to remind me, girl, you better get yourself together. And like my girlfriend, she'd be like, you better get your life in order. And sometimes I have to call her and I'd be like, girl, tell me to sit down or tell me to stop doing this and go somewhere. And she'd be like, sit your tail down. And then when you can get those reality checks from your friend, be like, sit your tail down, it bounce you back. You be like, thank you. And that's what we're talking about, that safe place. When you have those people that can say, Stephanie, go sit down. Are you doing too much? And still love you, still not judging, and still not judging you, still loving you. But I need to tell you, go sit down right now. You're doing too much. What's going on? You're walking different, you're acting different, something ain't right. What's going on?
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what sisterhood should look like. Right? That you love me enough to tell me the truth.
To tell me the truth,
right?
And not sit there and be like this and be like, well, when's she gonna stop? I told her I should. But see, when they do that, then you say, wait. Something's not right with this picture, because you're gonna cross your arms and allow me to fall. When you could have called me and say, you know what? I noticed something ain't right. Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? That's when you know you have a sister.
That's true. And we also need to be in a position to receive it, though.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the main part. Yes.
Yeah, we can't be easily offended, but that's why it has to be someone you trust.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
That you know that they have they really have your best interest at heart. So yeah, but again, those dynamics are built through history and experience.
And I'm so thankful, girl. I'm telling you, it's 5 of us, and there's nothing for us to get together and, and just have some true girl talk. And, sometimes, like, even when it's one of my friends text, she was like, can we just have 5 minutes of virtual time? Because
I love
that. We miss each other, and we know each other have our own lives. Some are married, we're moms, we got jobs, we're trying to do different business and stuff like that. And so when you have girlfriends say, can we just have 5 minutes of like a virtual conversation? That's everything. And the beauty of it, when we get back together, we can pick up if we ain't seen each other in 3 months.
I love it.
We can pick up where we left off and just carry on, even laugh at our own self sometimes. Be like, girl, you remember when you did? What was I thinking? And that's the beauty of it. And for me, sisterhood is everything. It is everything, And I tell people these last 2 years, losing, my late husband, truly has been a challenge for me. And I'm in a wonderful place. But I tell you, I thank God for my saving grace. And those are my girlfriends. Those are the girls that kept me grounded, that kept me in my right mind, and still do to this day when I second guess who I am.
You're amazing. If nobody ever tells you that,
I
think I didn't know you before, but I am so glad for the opportunity to hear your heart. And to just kind of be here with you, because I think you're amazing, and I appreciate the space that you make for us all. Right.
Yeah, but this is not, and God gave this to me because, like I said, before my late husband passed away, because I have a nonprofit organization for young girls called SHAPE, and it's called Spiritual Gifts, Healing Hearts, Abilities, Personality, and Experience. So when he gave me that, then I started selling paparazzi, and I would go live. And then I used to always give encouraging words at the end. And then he said, okay, I need you to move it to here. And I was like, what? Because I don't do a live, But he has equipped me. And just like you, when you've been in a broken place, you're not afraid to get down and dirty and show your scars, to say, hey, I had scars, but the God that I served, he allowed me to go through this just for this time,
just to let other
Absolutely.
women especially know, if I can do it for her, I can do it for you. Your deliverance or your healing may look different for you, but if I did it for her, I can do it
Mm-hmm.
for you. But you have to trust me enough to take your mask off and say, Lord, here I am naked before you.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's
Pain,
good. See, yeah, I'm thinking like when you keep talking, you see me looking up,
yeah,
it's because the wheels are turning
yeah,
like
like
this.
pain,
Hmm.
everything. And that's like I
Yeah.
said, when I talk to people, I don't talk to you from a place that I just think. I talk to you from a place that I've been there. Just like you, I've been homeless. And my mom didn't even know some stuff I went through. My mom didn't even know. But when I had my organization, God said, in order for you to be who you are, you have to take your mask off.
Hmm.
And now
Yeah,
that my
because
mask is off, I'm free.
mhm, that's it, right? Oh my God, because it's easier for people to receive you when you can
Yeah.
speak from a place of experience, right?
Yes.
So I heard Juanita Bynum say this. It is different to tell somebody about strawberries based on what you read in a book
Right.
versus you explaining that to
Mm-hmm.
them based on you actually have tasted it, right?
Amen.
It's the
Amen.
same thing in our life, right?
Right.
That if I talk to you about being able to heal based on my ability to
Mm-hmm.
heal,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're going to receive it differently because I'm not going to be judgmental because
No,
I've been there
I've
before,
been there.
right? And I think it is our responsibility that once you survive something to reach back and help others or keep them from ever even being in the situation,
Right.
right?
Right.
All it
Right.
takes is a conversation. A
That's
conversation
it.
could change everything.
But we have, and like me and Denitra, we were saying last night, we have to get out of self and
Mm-hmm,
say,
mm-hmm,
why am I so involved in my own self when God has delivered me? But now I don't want to
mm-hmm.
go out and tell nobody. I don't want to go out and reach back.
Right.
And then the stuff that
Mm-hmm,
He's delivered us from, why will we keep it a secret when He has let us live so we can
mm-hmm,
help other people? And I said, that's like saying, well, God did this for me, yeah, but
mm-hmm.
He don't need to get the
Yeah.
glory. I just need to sit here and keep all
Mm-hmm,
this stuff He's done for me to Donna.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, no.
and why did He save
Yeah.
us? Why, when we was out in our mess, why did He save us? When Stephanie was in that abusive relationship, did you think He just saved you so you can keep it to yourself and not give Him the glory?
Absolutely
But
not.
that's what we
Absolutely not.
do. That's what we do. We get so saved and we just want to say, "Oh, I am so perfect and I have never been through anything." And God is saying, that wreck you was in last week, 2 years ago, I
Mm-hmm.
saved you. And you're not going to give me the
Right.
credit and you're not going to witness to somebody else and tell them how good I am. I didn't save you so you can just say, well, thank you, Lord, you saved me.
Mm-mm.
You went
No.
through all
That
of
make
this and I spared you. And now you want to get on this side and not tell people how good I am?
mm-mm. Yeah, no. It makes me think about, so when I tell people, when you say that you survived something, that's where we get stuck right there. I
Right,
survived, right?
right.
But you have to understand that survive simply means you didn't die.
You didn't die.
Okay, so now what? But see, what happens, people get stuck right there. We celebrate the survival. Yes, I'm so
Mhm.
glad you survived.
Right,
Wonderful,
right.
whoopty whoop, whoopty wop. But now that God allowed you to survive, just like you said, why do you think He allowed you to survive? That's why you got to move to the. So when I talked about that, moving you from being a survivor to overcoming, which means you
Yes,
get rid of the residue. Once you
right,
get rid of the residue, then you can move forward.
right.
Your moving forward is actually kind of moving backwards
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to get somebody else, right?
Right, right.
I survived. I know how to get through this. Let me
Exactly,
go help you.
exactly.
And then they'll duplicate that in somebody else. Then they'll go help somebody.
And you know what
If
He just showed me? It's like thank you, Holy Spirit. It's like, you remember how in school we used to make the link chain? You remember?
mm-hmm,
That's what He just
mm-hmm,
showed me. It's just like the link chain.
yeah,
You
mm-hmm,
survived. you helping me. That's 2 chains.
Mhm.
Then I
Mhm.
survive, then somebody else, and you link in the chain, and then the chain
Mhm.
continues to go on and on and
Mhm.
on. And the next thing
Mhm.
you know, it's like, wow, like all these women, all these people
Mhm.
have connected, and we got the chain,
Mhm.
and we kept the chain
Mhm.
going because Stephanie started, because she came out, she
Mhm.
survived. She's an overcomer
Mhm.
now. So now you don't
Mhm.
reach back and got Donna. You teaching me how to survive. You teaching me how to be an overcomer. And then I'm doing the
Mhm.
same thing to my sister. And
Mhm.
then my sister's doing
Yep.
the same thing. And that's how he gave it to me, like that link chain. You see what I'm
And then we would be so right. We would be so much stronger
saying? Yes.
working. My hair. We would be stronger working together
Yes.
versus this whole. I'm trying to be better than her. Do
Right.
all this crazy. This no. Our strength is in unity. Our strength is in really building, especially. And this is not the to say that other women don't matter, because all women matter, but
Yes.
especially for women of color, you know
Right.
what I mean? Because, I mean, it is what it is. Like
Because
we need to learn
we've
how
been
to
doing it for
stand
so long.
together.
We've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
And see,
yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah,
girl, and
there are
I'm gonna girl,
universal
me and you
things.
probably can sit here all night, but I'm gonna tell you another analogy he gave me. You remember when we was talking about the crab in the barrel?
Hmm.
Oh, he just gave it to me as if the crab in the barrel, if you realize it, nobody gets to the top.
Nobody,
Nobody gets
nobody,
to the top because
nobody.
if people can look in the barrel and see the crab, what are they
Hmm.
doing? They're crawling on each other. And then if me and
Yes,
you crawling on
yes.
each other and then somebody else come, we all gonna fall back down. And so
Fall
nobody
down.
gets out. Nobody gets out.
Right. So we're wasting our energy. We're
We
all just up here wasting our time.
and that's just how he gave it to. And it's so funny how he would give you stuff because we talk about the crab in the barrel mentality, but I was just sitting here and that's how he gave it to me. It's like you're in a barrel, all the crabs are in the barrel, but nobody
Yeah.
gets out because
Nobody gets it.
everybody is scrambling and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's going back down
Yep.
because
And
nobody
we just
can latch on without the other crabs coming to get you and you falling right back down.
right. But if we would use each other as a stepping stone instead
Right,
of pulling,
right,
you could get out, then you reach in, pull me
right,
out. Then we
right, exactly. Because the crabs got the legs, so you just reach back.
mm-hmm.
Hey,
Come on, girl.
and,
Yes.
and, and, and you can look at it as the same way as with the chain. Their
Mm-hmm.
crab legs are long enough where if you make it to the top and you can hold on with one side of your claw, and then
Mm-hmm.
you reach him
Mm-hmm.
back, and then you pull me up, and then I reach back and pull the other person up. But we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do that.
See?
We don't want
No,
to do
that's too
that.
much like right.
Ah, girl. But I just thank you, and you're so beautiful. When my content manager was doing your flyer, he was like, "Wow, she is truly beautiful," and I was like, "Absolutely."
Thank you. Thank you.
Because
Y'all are amazing.
sometimes I believe God will preserve us even in our
Yeah.
whether it looks bad or whatever it may be, and He
Mm-hmm.
truly preserved you even in the midst of your domestic violence. So women can truly see it doesn't matter how you're in this, bruised and all, He can
Mm-hmm.
still preserve you to come out unscathed.
Yeah. You don't look like what you've been through,
No,
honey.
and that's the beauty of it. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
I love it when I have guests on here, men and women, that can just be who they are. Because I say we got to get out of thinking we wake up looking a certain way. Some days I don't want to get up and look good. I don't want to get up and like try to get myself together to go to work. I just want to have
No.
on me some sweatpants and, hang out.
Me
But you know what?
too.
We get up because we know that there's purpose in us. And we know
Mm-hmm.
that on this journey, when we get up every day, there may be an encounter that God has us to have with someone
Mm-hmm.
else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I
so
like that.
we have to present ourselves as if we're presenting God, which it's in us, but we have to present ourselves a way that when they see us, they can be
Mm-hmm.
receiving of us.
Amen. Amen.
Because if
That's
you
good.
came to me looking crazy, you know what I'm saying? I'll be like, nah, because that's just human nature. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's
That's
true.
human
Yeah.
nature because we want stuff to look good. And
Yeah,
so
we
when
do.
you and I and others that's on this live and we'll watch it, we must get ourselves up every day as if we're going to meet our Father at the table and have dinner with Him. So when He
Mm-hmm.
put someone before us, they will already be able to receive us because they see us coming and He has prepared them. So we need to prepare ourselves. I ain't
Yes.
saying be all
Yeah.
glam into the nines, but I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
present yourself as if you're going
Mm-hmm.
to have dinner with your father or lunch with your father or breakfast with your father.
With your father. Yeah, I like
So,
that. Mm-hmm.
so we must present ourselves every day that way because we don't never
Amen.
know who he's going to place in our path and we don't want to look a different way to discourage them because you know how people are. If they're not where we're at, that's fine, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to make sure we at least doing our part so when we go to them they're
Amen.
able to receive what we have to say, even if it's a hello, how are you today, you look beautiful today.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I
So,
agree.
but I just thank you, and hopefully one day we can do something together with for women because that's my
I look
goal.
forward to it.
Just to just have some great dialogue with women because women are broken. They're truly broken, and I just want women, especially in 2022, to be at a different place than they was last year.
Amen.
I
I
want
look
them to,
forward to it.
yeah, I want them to have hope and know that there's joy, know that there's purpose in them, but it may take women like you and I and other women to help them
Mm-hmm.
to even walk across the first, flight of
Oh yeah.
steps.
And we can do it. Yep. We can.
Yeah, but like I said, I will continue to follow you on your journey. Thank you for
I'll do the same.
surviving. Thank you for becoming an overcomer.
To God be the glory. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I'm definitely gonna follow you. I
thank you,
appreciate
thank
you
you,
again.
thank you,
I do.
thank you,
I pray God's absolute best
thank
for
you,
you
thank you,
and everything that you endeavor to do. Just
thank
please
you.
stay the course.
I am, I
Stay the
am.
course.
Sometimes
And
Satan
you
tries,
need
though,
me,
but I have to stay the course because I know I have a
stay
calling. I know I have a purpose, and I got to stay
the
the course.
course.
And you just keep
Mm-hmm.
praying that God keeps me on this course, keep me focused, and that's my main thing right now because I'm telling you, it's hard when you're on a journey and you know that you're on this journey, and sometimes this journey gets lonely, but I
Mm-hmm.
trust myself enough to say, Lord, if you be with me, I can stay on this journey.
And yep.
I can stay on this
Amen.
journey and go ahead and finish doing them books because
Yep, I
we
am. I'm doing it.
because we need them. And like I said, if you ever need an ear, I'm here. Just hit me up.
I'm here too.
Just hit
You
me up.
want me? You need me? I'm
Yes,
here. God
yes.
bless you. Thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank you. Have a good night. And just, hey, be
And
safe
you
if
too.
y'all get some snow.
Right. I'm staying inside. You be safe.
I
Keep your
will.
mask
I
on.
will.
Oh,
Yes.
God bless you.
God bless you. Good night. Bye. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. I truly enjoy the beautiful Miss Stephanie. Go back and watch the live. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, but most of all, the word that I chose was boldness. We have to step out bold in whatever we do, whatever we want to achieve. And it says, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And that's 2 Timothy 1:6 and 7. So it doesn't matter what situation that you find yourself in. As long as you are being bold in Christ, He will get you through anything that you have to get through. He can get you through insecurities. He can get you in when you're in self-doubt, not feeling worthy, or just feeling like you don't have the strength to go on, to push. But I challenge you, push, even when you don't feel like pushing. But most of all, stay grounded and rooted. Wherever you're at, stay grounded and rooted, no matter how big the storm may be. No matter how big the storm may be. Your branches may wiggle from side to side, but keep your feet planted. Planted. And if you do that, he will see you through, no matter what it is. And if anything else, stay in the process. In the process is where your healing comes, your deliverance comes, your freedom comes. In the process is where it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. But as you're in the process, the tighter it is, when he starts bringing you out, then it's going to start opening up. And then it's going to start separating all the stuff that have kept you in bondage. The jealousy, the pride, the selfishness, the arrogancy. All these things he can take out of you, but you must allow him to. But first, you must recognize that I am not all that. Because if God takes his hands off you, you're absolutely nothing. So when we think we have arrived because of whatever or whomever done told us that we have arrived, God can show you that you have not arrived because your attitudes stink, because you're arrogant, because you're prideful, because you're selfish, because you have unforgiveness in your heart. So don't ever think that we have arrived to the point that we can treat and say anything to people and think that it's okay. Because he sees you, he sees me, he sees you. So we need to be careful how we treat people. We need to be careful how we speak to people. Because when you start mishandling people, then you get in error with our Father. So stay the course. Be bold in him. And remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God will see you through to the end. And if he sees you through to the end, you will win. You will win. So don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on him, especially. Man will fail us all the time. Friends will fail us all the time. Family will fail us. But one thing you can be assured, God will never fail us. If we stay close to him, he will see us through. I pray that you guys have an amazing, amazing weekend. I will be back next week with another episode of Hot Topics with Donna, where we do an honest, open, and transparent, where we talk about relationships, friendships, life-challenging situations. And that's why on this platform, we're so grateful that we get to interview ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their community. Stay safe, because we're supposed to be getting some snow wherever you may be. I don't know. But whatever you do, stay safe. Love yourself. Unapologetic. If no one else tells you that they love you, I love you.
We love you here at Hot Topics with Donna. And until then, I say good night. And I pray that you have a peaceful night's sleep with no worries, nothing but joy and peace in your heart as you rest tonight. And until then, I say good night.